Okay, of recording this golf podcast, a little GoLow, we are officially less than 7 days away from the Masters. A tradition like no other. Jim Nantz on the call. Tiger finally playing some golf. The LIV guys, the PGA Tour guys all together. So we'll keep this semi-short and sweet. Next week will be big, efforting a guest to come on that might have some Masters experience and get ready. It's hard to gamble also on this week just because half of the big name guys are just kind of tuning up. If they're out of it, they'll check out. How much energy do any of the big name guys want to basically give out Saturday and Sunday when Augusta's right around the corner? We have a LIV event this week. So we got a lot going on. There was some breaking news today. Justin Thomas and Bones, Phil Mickelson's caddy forever, Jim Mackay, broke up, which was pretty eye-opening. Rory and Butch Harmon. Butch, obviously famously known as Tiger's coach, Greg Norman's coach, Dustin Johnson, Ricky Fowler, a bunch of other guys. Butch kind of pushed back, said it's not true, but I think those two moves show you, I mean, we got some issues with American golf. And Scottie Scheffler is currently a 4-1 favorite to win the Masters. That's pretty wild. But before we dive into some golf, I got to tell you about my friends, the official ticketing app of this podcast. Go to your smartphone and download a little app. That app is known as Game Time. Game Time is the official ticketing app of this podcast. You can go to any event, maybe not the Masters, but NBA playoff games, Major League Baseball games, NHL playoff games, concerts, comedy shows. Go do yourself a favor. Get outside. Go do something fun and do it on us. Just download the Game Time app, promo code GOLOW, GOLOW, and save yourself $20 on your first pair of tickets. I actually was watching, I think it was last week, flipping around the channels. It's tough. Like, no football on. The NCAA tournament's not on. Random NBA games aren't doing it for me. I saw Golf Channel was replaying the 86 Masters. And it's obviously famously known for Jack Nicklaus winning his last major championship in his mid-40s. And it was pretty cool to watch. Obviously, the game is dramatically different. I mean, he's hitting 5-iron from 190 yards. These guys now are hitting 7-iron. So the club selection, but watching him, watching Greg Norman, who I don't want to say choked on 18 because he had birdied 14, 15, 16, and 17 to throw his hat back in the ring. But he easily probably hit one of the worst shots of his career at a big moment, and it blew it. He bogeyed, and Jack won. Seve, I would say, was more of the guy that choked, but it was a fascinating watch. I mean, it was fucking awesome. Nantz at the time was not calling the Masters. He just had hole 16. Pat Summerall, obviously John Madden's partner forever. And there's nothing like the majors. And it's always been like that. And we've talked a lot about the disaster that currently is professional golf because of the split. Phil Mickelson said we're in this disruption phase. This is like phase 2 or 3. And I was just thinking, like, you know, in professional baseball, I remember the strike in 94 when the season ended. We've had potential threats of strikes and lockouts in football, disrupting the seasons. It's never actually happened. And it's a big story. But, like, the fans really don't care. It's either players getting richer, owners getting richer, it's rich people making more money, right? Obviously, the media loves to social analyze everything of, like, the little guy versus the big guy. Like, most fans just want to watch the games. They just want to know when their sport is on, turn on the TV and watch the best players play. This isn't very complicated. The reason Iowa and LSU got 13 million people to watch the other night, more than any NBA final game last year, Heat, Denver, is because we like stars. We like big events. Like this is entertainment. We're looking, most people's lives are difficult, have a lot going on. Obviously, financially, things have never been more expensive. They just want to kick their feet up and watch something fun. And golf's definitely lost that. I mean, there's no way around it. I love the sport. It's really like the only hobby I have in my life, and it just hasn't felt the same this year. Now, we've talked at, it feels like nauseum over and over. It feels like we're beating a dead horse. A big reason is the Stars have not played that well, right? JT just broke up with Bones, the gym I go to now, a couple times I've seen him there. And not that I got cold feet, but I wanted to introduce myself. But I was like, do I just introduce myself as a podcaster? Then he's going to think I'm just introducing him because I want to have him on the show. Should I say I've really enjoyed his work on time? I didn't, I've had to overthink it. I want to meet the guy, but I just didn't quite know what to say. I think I was going to go with, hey, man, it's cool you're on JT's bag. I miss you on TV. You were awesome at it. Now it kind of feels like he'll probably be back on TV. But to fire your caddy before the Masters when you are, quote unquote, a top 4 or 5 American player is kind of weird. Like, that's not very normal, right? Shows you shit is not right. And I would say this, Bones is universally like one of the nicest guys in the sport. Everyone seems to really, really like the guy. Now, JT, the last year has been, he showed signs of life early this season, but he just missed the cut at the Players the other day, an event that he had won a couple years ago. Let's face it, post winning the PGA Championship with Bones on the bag, which I don't want to call lucky because it's so easy in any situation, whether you're having success, whether you win a game or you win a golf tournament or whatever, to be like, well, he got some lucky breaks. Yeah, welcome to life, right? He was obviously way back going into the back 9. He shanked one, I think, on hole 6. People had to fall apart. They did, and he took advantage. Then he won the fucking thing in extra holes. And he's proven before that he can win big events. So it's not like part of success is you need a little luck. But he's been objectively pretty terrible since. And I also wonder, like, listen, I think as someone who lost his dad years ago, I always think it's cool how tight Justin Thomas and his father are, right? Obviously, it's his swing coach, and you cannot turn on the TV, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of a big event when Golf Channel's there and not see visuals of his father next to him. And that's something like that kind of brings me joy when I see. But when you separate that and you put it from a professional standpoint, like, that's got to be, there's a lot going on there, right? You got a father who's heavily involved, a very prominent, famous player. Let's face it, Bones is a pretty famous caddy, and things have just gone poorly. Now, it's not like Bones is the guy directing him how to swing, changes to make. He just tells him yardages and strategy on different shots. So Bones' resume kind of speaks for itself. This is and listen, it doesn't feel like anything too crazy happened, but you never know. To break up the week before the Masters, I'm sorry, my red flag goes off, and it's waving around right now. Something is weird, and clearly next week he's going to get asked about it. It's going to be the number one question that people are going to want to know. Like, you fired Bones, or you guys had a separation the week before the Masters? But I also think it's pretty symbolic of, like, yeah, JT hasn't carried his weight this year. Neither is Jordan Spieth. Neither is Patrick Cantlay. Neither is basically anyone not named Scottie Scheffler. Thank God for Scottie Scheffler, or this season might as well have been the Korn Ferry Tour on steroids. And thank God we're to the majors, because like I said, love this sport, gamble on this sport. If it was not for gambling, I would not be paying attention. I mean, these leaderboards have such random guys that the casual fan, and businesses are built on the casual fan, because even the casual golf fan can get behind, oh, Jordan Spieth playing Scottie Scheffler and Ricky Fowler. Those guys are nowhere to be found, ever. And Scottie Scheffler, every single week, win or lose, answers the bell, and he's right there. And he easily could have won last week as a 2.5 to 1 favorite. Do you know how absurd it is and this speaks to like Tiger back in the day, but it's like everyone keeps talking about it. People were not gambling on golf in 2003 like they are in 2024. I'm sorry. You had to be a legit degenerate, plus the access and the internet. It's completely different now. So what I love hearing, that's Tiger type numbers. Yeah, a tiny subset of human beings ever saw those numbers. Now these numbers to me, like Scottie Scheffler in a tournament of 150 people was a 2.5-1 favorite and easily could have forced extra holes on hole 72 from 5.5 feet. Now he missed the putt. Just hat tip to that guy. Seriously. It's like for all the shit that's gone wrong this year, and Phil Mickelson's talking about disruption, like I said, with the lockouts and the strikes, like disruption's great for people involved in the business, maybe not so great for some of them. But do you know who it does not benefit at all? Us. Like, none of us care about disruption. We just want to watch the best players. Thank God the Masters is here. Like, I'm not into disruption. I just want to watch John Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau and Scottie Scheffler and Brooks Koepka all playing together. And for the first time in a long time, we're getting it. Because even Tiger Woods, I feel like he lied to us. He said last year, I think at the PNC or at the Hero Championship, that I plan on playing once a month. I'm not even expecting Tiger to ever compete again. I don't expect to get the 2019 Masters. Like, okay, those days are long gone. That's fine. I do just like it when you're in the event. It's just something to pay attention to on Thursday and Friday. And you said once a month. He said it, not us. No one made it up. A couple years ago, we're like, hey, we get Tiger the 4 majors of the year. It's cool with me. And then he gets this surgery, and he's like, listen, short term, it's going to suck, but long term, I'm going to be healthier. Then he plays Riv, and he gets influenza meets the shits, and all of a sudden, he's just MIA. And he's the guy helping lead the PGA Tour. And Yasser, they're playing golf in the Bahamas. The players comes and goes, which I don't know, beside the PGA Tour doesn't own the majors. So it's easily the PGA Tour's biggest event of the year. And Tiger, it's not like he even releases a statement like, hey, not doing that well, or still battling some stuff, or not feeling right. He just doesn't enter the event. It's like, what the fuck? I heard the Barstool guys talking about it. Like, I'm sorry, it's kind of disappointing. Our expectations for him are obviously different. But he said it. The expectations were kind of there. He was going to throw his hat in the ring of like, listen, we've lost some name recognition. We've lost some star power. That happened. I'll help. Just my presence helps, right? I matter. Like, look at the NBA. Do you know who matters the most by a mile? LeBron and Steph. They're not the best players anymore, but they are by far the most powerful brands when you put them on television that most people watch. But in basketball, like, you need their teams to win. And right now they're going to play each other in the 9-10 game. If it was golf, as long as they were playing, you'd be fine. And Tiger just didn't play the players. Now, I guess we'll hear him talk for the first time in a long time since Riv this upcoming week. But like, Tiger, are you going to play anymore beside the 4 majors? Or no, you're actually just back on that plan, which, again, if he's injured, if he's not feeling great, I get it. But if it's just like, yeah, I just wasn't really feeling it, like, that kind of sucks. And this reflects the situation the tour's in. They're very dependent on this 46, 47, 48-year-old guy who's had a million surgeries. And when he doesn't play, it hurts. The thrill and excitement of March Mania is here. And DraftKings Sportsbook, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps, is giving new customers a shot to turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets with any college basketball bet. North Carolina listeners, don't forget DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in your state. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code JOHN, J-O-H-N. New customers can bet $5 to get $150 instantly in bonus bets only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code JOHN. The crown is yours. The other guy who I would say has been pretty disappointing, doesn't even have a top 10 this year, and he's playing this week, is Rory. Now, in fairness to Rory, when all the shit originally happened with LIV, he was really good, and he helped kind of carry the torch. not just emotionally with his words, but with his play. He's, been really damn good in the majors the last 2 years. Now he hasn't won one, but I think he's top 10 in like 5 or 6 of them. He's top 5 in several. He had a chance to win multiple. The U.S. Open, St. Andrews, like he easily could have won a couple majors the last couple years. But so far this year, he's looked pretty bad. Now, he's spoken about sometimes he'll just go to Butch for a couple hours to get some eyes on him, and it helps. Anyone that watched Full Swing, Ricky goes to Butch. As much as Butch is a technical coach, right? Get your hands here, move the ball up, move the ball back, whatever, all the stuff golf coaches do. Get your hand a little over, get your backswing on plane, all that bullshit. Clearly, emotionally and mentally, he's on a completely different level. And even Ricky said it. He just helped get my mind right. And maybe that's what Rory needs, just to get his mind right. Because, in fairness, JT's been bad for a while. Spieth's all over the map. Like the tour, kind of looking around like Scottie's like, hey guys, can I get some fucking help here? Can I get some help here? Because all we're talking about is the equity and the money going here and who's getting what. Like, what do you guys think you deserve right now? Television ratings going into the tank. It just, some guys eventually got to play well. And Tiger, the ghost of Tiger, which I'm just getting frustrated off because I miss him. Because I need a reason beside having some money on Billy Horschel in the top 20 to watch. Like, that's the only thing that bothers me. I just wish he was around. And him and Phil are clearly the most famous players of the last, post like Jack and Arnie. And those guys' careers are just on the back couple holes, right? I mean, Phil, I know he won at Kiowa several years ago, but he's objectively pretty terrible right now. Tiger can barely walk 18 holes every time we see him. It'd be nice if some of these other guys answered the bell. And I understand there's a ton of pressure given all this stuff that's out of these guys' control, but the tour could really, really use Rory playing well. And I think we all agree that, like, the shitty part about Rahm leaving wasn't that, like, LIV stole a sweet player, because it's not like I'm going to watch LIV. I mean, they're playing this week. I actually like checking the leaderboard, but I don't. At most, on a given week, I've watched 9 holes, and it's always on the Saturday, like the final 9 holes. And usually I only end up watching a couple. Like, the ratings speak for themselves. We're not consuming it that way. But we do miss having this rivalry that was, functionally taking place. Scottie Scheffler and Jon Rahm had established themselves as the two big dogs in the sport, and then they only see each other now 4 times a year. But that is cool about this upcoming week, because I think everything surrounding it, all the drama, all the talk, it all kind of comes to a head. It all does. And Scottie, with his play, and I know he didn't win last week, but being such a massive favorite is, I think, even going to add an extra element of like, hey, John, you're the defending champ. What have you been up to? Because we don't count any of that shit you're doing over there. It doesn't matter to anybody. Like, we objectively see Scottie. Now, granted, he's playing a bunch of names most people have not heard of, but he's going to war with them every single week. And he's unfazed. Whether it's Rory, JT, and Xander playing well that week, or 7 other dudes that were just on the Korn Ferry Tour, Scottie's the only guy taking them on. And clearly his game, besides putting, which I think we all can relate to, can be very hit or miss. He is on a different level. It's crazy how high his floor is. Even the shittiest version of him, he's become like a LeBron James or a Patrick Mahomes. Even when he's off, he's still incredible. And even when he's off, he's in the mix. He's finishing second or third. I mean, it's crazy to see him in like 6th place. And even when you come into the weekend, you're like, oh, where's Scottie? He's like 11th. You're like, oh, watch out. Here he comes. Then you check the leaderboard 6, 7 holes later, and he's birdied 3 of his last 5 holes, and he's jumped up and he's 1 behind the lead. That's the coolest part about watching a guy that's just dialed in like him. And I hope some of these other guys, Koepka's very outspoken about it, how seriously he takes this time of the year, how the last couple months all build up to this point of the year. Obviously, Jon Rahm, the pride he took in winning that major. I mean, let's face it, winning the Masters kind of gave him the freedom to be like, I'm out. I've won the U.S. Open. I've won the Masters. I'm taking this enormous amount of money from the Saudis, but I hope he comes ready, and I just think it has a chance to be very, very special. And I think the coolest part is it feels for the first time in a long time that it just really matters. Obviously, it matters no matter what because it's the Masters, but none of these tournaments, all the lives, all the other tournaments have just felt kind of blah, have just felt kind of irrelevant. And that's so Phil can say all he wants about, oh, the disruption phase. Well, that's great for you guys. Y'all making money. PGA Tour players are making money. None of us are watching, really. So the disruption phase is sweet for you guys financially. It sucks for us, the consumer. I mean, that's who it really sucks for. So yeah, disrupt all you want. You guys figure it out. Doesn't feel like you're any closer to any sort of solution, but at least the majors are here. And I don't know, man. I regret after I won a bet. I think Riv. I had some money on Zalatoris, and I won a couple grand, and I cashed it. Maybe it was 2,500. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to cash out like two, and I'm going to put. I think I put $400 on Willie Z to win the Masters, and I don't feel as good anymore. He's been terrible lately. What I should have done is taken that $400 or $500 and just put it on Scottie when he was like 9-1, because that 9-1 is never going to be seen again. And if he's 4-1 to start the tournament, if he just shoots like 2 under in the first round, and if he's just in the top 10 going into the weekend, that number is going to go from 4-1 to plus 150 really fast. Now, two other guys whose numbers can jump quick because of their history here is Koepka, who has talked openly about his desire. I mean, every star player wants to win this tournament, but the benefits he has going into majors of like half the field has no shot. Half the other guys that make the cut are going to get nervous and crumble on the weekend. Some of the other guys that make the cut actually aren't playing that well. So I'm really playing like 20 guys, right? Well, Augusta is not a full field. It's like give or take 90 people. And 20 of those guys, past champions, have no shot. Half the guys are playing the tournament for the first couple times in their career, are not going to be in the mix. So this is an opportunity for some of these guys playing well. I mean, one early name that's jumped out, because I do think he's been pretty good this year, and he was definitely good beside not making the putts down the stretch at the Players, is Xander. I mean, Xander's major history is pretty damn good. I know he's never won a big tournament, a major, but I think he has a lot of momentum for all that, like non-Koepka, non-Rahm. It's hard to have any faith in Rory. For Rory to be the second betting favorite right now, and maybe he does play well, that's crazy. And part of it is just the name. It's like, why do the Cowboys and the Lakers, their odds always a little inflated? Because more people bet on them. Like, to me, Rory, let's face it, as of right now, the way he's playing should be 20-1, not 10-1. Scottie Scheffler should be 4-1. And I think based on respect, Rahm should be somewhere 7-8-1, but he's more like 12-13-1. And I think a big reason is like how sharp are his skills. Iron sharpens iron. Even if you're playing against Matthew Pavon and Trotty and Steven Yeager and some of these kind of fringe, as No Laying Up calls them, the mules or the former Corn Ferry guys, I do think it hardens your skills and has you more ready than just playing shotgun golf on LIV. But maybe Rahm is so good that it won't matter and he'll be dialed in. So Masters right around the corner. We'll have a big podcast getting ready, and I will have a lot, and I mean a lot, of wagers next week.